All right, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to a quick video I want to do just to explain how the Coinist bot works, what automated strategies are, how you can use them in your own arsenal in crypto trading, and also how this tool works so that you have a better understanding. Right now, I'm pushing out all the updates to Twitter, and then also have some more information in the Discord link down below. But I want to walk through it because I know there's now 10 or 12,000 people following it. I want to explain how it can be useful, maybe how not to use it, and then also some really simple tips or ways that you can understand what automated strategies even are to hopefully help you help in your investing and trading in crypto. So let's jump right into it, guys. I'm going to start off with a few basic strategies or automated strategies to help your understanding before we dive into what the actual Coinist bot is. So let's take a look at the chart. All right, so let's jump into the first thing, like I said, what an automated strategy even is, whether that's the same as algorithmic trading or all the different terms you've heard. Let's walk through two very simple strategies, or probably the easiest ones that I can help you visualize and also understand. All right, so probably the easiest automated strategy or strategy to understand is going to be a moving average crossover. I want to first off say these are not the strategies that I'm using or that I recommend that you use. It's just a way for me to explain what an automated strategy even is, right? So before we even think about that specific strategy, an automated strategy works like this, or an algorithmic strategy works like this. It's a line of code or it's some system that's automated, and what it's doing, it's looking for a condition. So it says if this certain condition is met, then this trade or this action or this parameter takes place, right? So the most simple strategy that I think I can explain, and it's probably because a lot of people use the indicator and also because it's quite easy to follow along, is a moving average crossover. So I added two moving averages onto the Bitcoin chart, and the faster moving average is right here. This is a white exponential moving average of 20 periods. Second moving average is going to be a slower one of 50 periods. Right, so the faster moving average is white, slower one is blue. That's just calculating the price over the past X amount of periods. Right, so very simple and probably the easiest strategy to understand is when this thing crosses over, that is kind of the first condition, and then it'll tell the strategy either to take a short or a long position. Right, so let's start with let's just start on the far left side of the chart, how this strategy would work, right? Let's get it out from behind my head. So the first strategy or kind of the first condition that would happen in a basic moving average crossover strategy works like this. The faster moving average, this white line, when it crosses over the slower moving average, this blue line, right? It would initiate a buy signal. And I've seen tons of posts on Twitter this is one that when you first see it, or right after I explain this, you might rush to a chart and try this out and try a bunch of different parameters and say, look, the cross happened right here. This strategy is amazing. It would buy right here, would sell right here, would buy again. One thing to keep in mind is on any automated strategy, when you are visualizing it, whether you're doing it numbers based or you're trying to build it right here on the chart, one thing to realize is the first condition would be when this faster moving average crosses over the slower moving average. That is your first condition. It would trigger a buy signal, right? The buy actually wouldn't happen right here at the price that it crosses over, right? It wouldn't happen at 6,300. The actual buy would take place at the executable price when that crossover happened, right? So on this exact bar, it's a lot closer to 66.85, right? That's where the actual buy would take place. So just in this example, your first buy or automated buy would be right around there at 66.86, right? So you're going long there. So I'm just going to mark that down with a little text box, buy on MA cross, right? So that's the first condition. So let's move along. As kind of price moves up, this is great. You're in profit. Now, since it's an automated strategy, you're not the one making the decisions. The computer's making the decisions. So the next kind of condition that would either trigger a close or for the strategy to go short would be when the faster moving average crosses below the slower moving average, right? So that happens right here. And once again, the important thing to remember, and I see this, there was a really massive thread on Twitter that said, look, this moving average crossover makes this much money. It sells here or buys here and sells here. that's just not the case, right? You wouldn't be selling or taking profits right here at 79.26. You would actually be selling or taking profits at the executable price of that actual time period, right? So it would be a lot closer to here, right? So let's say that is the next trade on this moving average crossover strategy. You're buying when the faster moves above the slower moving average, and you're selling when the faster moving average crosses below the slower moving average, right? So that would sell. And depending on if you want it to be a long short strategy, if you want it to be able to short as well, if you want it to be just long, right? If it was just long, you'd buy and then just sell when the moving average crosses below and just look for the next buy down here, right, when it crosses back above. And then you would once again sell right here. You're not actually getting this price, you're getting it much lower, right? So the one thing in explaining this strategy, it's going to look amazing when you first see it, as most automated strategies will when you're kind of looking at one small subset of data. Let's look at kind of the next example on how this next trade would work, right? So you're going to buy here when the moving average crosses above the slower moving average. It's actually happening up here, right? So you're going to buy around, and these are just rough estimates, 66.47, right? And then you would sell when this faster moving average crosses below the slower moving average, right? When is that actually happening, right? So it looks like, to kind of an untrained eye, or when you're first looking at this type of thing, you're going to say, wow, I would have bought down here and I would have sold up here. This strategy is perfect. It's always going to make money. It's important to understand that that condition actually isn't being met until this candle closes, right? So you would actually be buying up here at 6,600, and then you'd be selling when this candle meets the executable price, right? Somewhere like 6,500, right? So you can very clearly already see that you would run into problems here, because although kind of that strategy looks like it's always going to make money, you have to understand how those, how the condition is actually met. It's met after kind of the candle closes and once this cross can actually happen. And then you also have to understand it's not happening when the cross happens or where it is on the indicator. It happens at the executable price, right? So that's a very simple moving average crossover strategy. I think that's probably the easiest one to illustrate. And that is just simply buying when there's a cross and selling when there's a cross below. Buying, selling, you would once again buy and then sell, once again buy, right? So I think that's a really easy strategy to understand. That's not the strategy I'm using, but in terms of automated strategies, for those of you who have never seen one before, that is probably the easiest one-step automated strategy that I can introduce to you. Another one that's easy to introduce uses the RSI, right? So this strategy, let's look at RSI, relative strength indicator, for those of you guys who have ever used it. I'm just going to highlight the upper band and highlight the lower band so they're a little bit easier to see here. Let's make them both yellow. Right, so the second kind of example automated strategy that I can show or teach is going to be using the RSI. And once again, this is not recommendation or advice to use these strategies. Just want to illustrate what an automated strategy is or looks like, so that it'll help me kind of explain what the bot is doing and how you can use it. So looking at Bitcoin and this, let's switch something like the daily, right? Let's look at this RSI strategy, right? A very, very basic RSI strategy. We'll actually look at two. A very basic RSI strategy is going to use this RSI line, and it's also going to use this top upper band, and it will use the lower band, right? Or pretty much the overbought condition and the oversold conditions, right? So moving along, a very, very basic strategy for RSI could be selling or going short when this overbought line is reached, and buying when the oversold line is reached, right? Or when RSI crosses above this overbought, right? So very simple. I can mark kind of these buys on the chart. Your first buy is in here at 7,100. Your second buy would take place. Your second buy would take place around 6,200, and then you wouldn't sell until the RSI closes back above the overbought. So you'd be selling in this region somewhere around 7,900, right? So that strategy looks nice on a very small kind of sample size, not obviously back testing this and being too precise, but just giving you a basic look on what that would look like, right? Same exact thing. You'd be selling up there, next condition being met is going to be buying. When we get back down, it's not completely met. So then the strategy is going to wait until there's another period where overbought or oversold is reached, right? Oversold and overbought, right? So that's another very simple automated strategy that I think I can show on a chart. Pretty easy example to follow. If you've never seen automated strategy before, that's all it's going to do. It's going to be constantly running either on your computer or on some software or on a cloud, and it's going to be looking for conditions, quantitative conditions, either through price or through volume or through some other metric, and then once a condition is met, whatever that strategy is, if it's moving average, if it's percentage change in volume, if it's using something like an oscillator, it will then execute a trade, either an entry or a stop or a take profit, whatever it might be, right? That's the simplest introduction to an automated strategy I can give. All right, so the next part that I want to talk about is what is the Coinspot and what can it be helpful for, right? How can it help you in your trading? How can it help you in your investing? How can it help you at all? So what is the Coinspot? I just explained two very simple automated strategies. I spent a ton of time back testing hundreds of different strategies, thousands of different kind of variable combinations. There's platforms where you can optimize them. And let's say you can test that EMA cross, with parameters of 1 to 50, testing it against crossovers of 50 to 200 across 10 different time frames, across 10 different instruments, right? So I spent a lot of time doing that, my previous job, with different FX products. And when I came to crypto, I realized that Bitcoin and alts primarily, they were trending a lot more than maybe an FX pair or maybe a commodity or maybe a CFD, and that opens up some new opportunities, right? So I wanted to test an idea or a strategy that I used to use on dollar yen and just slightly change it to maybe fit these parameters a little bit more and then optimize it. So the Coinspot, very simply, is an automated strategy, not like the ones that I just showed you. Maybe it's a combination of those or slight tweaks to those, adding filters, adding some other things. But basically, it's a tool. It posts on Twitter. I have the Twitter page right behind me onto the Coinspot, link below. And all it does is it posts entries, time-stamped, and exits and results for 4 different products that it's trading, or 5 different products that it's trading on BitMEX. Right, so it's running the strategy on Bitcoin, it's running the strategy on Tron, EOS, ETH, and ADA and Cardano. Right, so I wanted to make a kind of transparent, open project where you guys could all see the results. One thing that I see a lot on Twitter or elsewhere is, people will say they have a bot or they have this proprietary software and they say, look, these are the results, these are the back tests, look at how much money it made. Very similar to how, you can edit a chart and say, look, I bought here and sold here. That same thing can be done in this field. So I wanted to stray away from that, and I wanted to show people in real time, look, everything's time-stamped. If it makes money, great, and that's very helpful. If it doesn't, great, at least you can see it very transparently what an automated strategy would look like, right? So my first goal was to show a strategy very transparently. Obviously, my second goal was to make money because I am actually trading this with real money. And then the third thing that I also really wanted to do is educate people about automated strategies, right? I see a lot more people on Twitter talking about them now and showing maybe a backtest result or what this strategy did on the chart. But not a lot of people know, and they're honestly quite simple, right? I hope that makes sense, the last 2 examples. They're very simple. It's an if statement, kind of looking at a parameter, and then, if that condition happens, then a trade executes. So that's all the Coinspot is. It's 5 or 6 strategies that I was using that are updating in real time on that Twitter account, right? So I'm going to jump over real quick so you guys can see actually how it's used. I'll scroll down the Twitter timeline over here, and we'll kind of walk through the actual entries or exits, just so it makes complete sense. All right, so now we're on the Coinspot page. Here is a FAQ, or frequently asked questions, that I would definitely have you check out. Like I said, it pulls data from those 4 different pairs, 4 or 5 different pairs. No, it is not financial advice. It is not a recommendation to take a trade, just as no one on Twitter is. No one's a financial advisor, especially an automated strategy, a robot pretty much on Twitter that can't take into account any of your specific financial needs, right? It's not financial advice. It's just kind of showing you how this strategy is running. The results are shown every single week. And the words in the tweets, I'll show you now what that means because this trips a lot of people up, right? So we'll kind of walk through very simply. I think Bitcoin is maybe the easiest to follow. All right, let me just find. So as you can see, as I'm scrolling down, the tweets are just showing sell short signal for EOS, trigger closes position, opens new position, opposite direction. Right, so that sounds clear to me, maybe not so clear to you. So I'll explain what that means. So back here on the 5th, actually, let's go to the previous Bitcoin trade. So back here on August 13th, right, buy signal for XBT, or the perpetual swap Bitcoin product, trigger closes position and opens new position opposite direction, right? So if it's a buy signal and there's a short position already open, it's going to close the short position and then open a long position at that price, right? So it's time stamped right here, 2:17 a.m., August 13th. And then I insert a chart just to help you guys visualize, because I know some people get tripped up by that wording. So very clearly, there's no position open. So back here on August 13th, it opens a position long at 63.89, right? That condition is met, whatever conditions I'm using, and it opens long. Right, so now let's go forward, fast forward, as the tweets are coming in on the timeline, and then this new tweet comes out September 5th at 8:14 a.m., sell trigger for XBT, right? So the conditions are met that it will sell and or take profit. So trigger closes the position, opens a new position in the opposite direction, right? So there was already a long position open here, right, from 63.89. The sell trigger comes out on September 5th. All that means is we were long. Now it's a sell trigger at 69.79, right? So it's going to close your long exposure, take profit on a 10% move or a $600 move per Bitcoin, right? And then it's also going to sell. Trigger close position, opens no new position in opposite direction, right? So it closes your long and it opens a short, right? So let's fast forward a little bit further. You can see all the positions for different instruments are being tweeted out. Let's go to Bitcoin. Let's find the newest Bitcoin one so I can show you kind of what the full cycle looks like here. And then the most recent one for Bitcoin happened on September 12th, right? So about 10 days ago, trigger closed position again, opens new position opposite direction. All right, so there was a short the previous trade at 69.97, closes that $600 drop short, and it opens a long now at 63.96, right? It's all time stamped, all the entries and exits are shown, everything is completely transparent for you to see, right? So that's how the strategy is going to work. I know that wording tripped up a couple of people. All it means is closing the position and opening one in the opposite direction. It does trade both directions. It's just because it's on BitMEX. Obviously, you can choose to follow along or use it as a tool for just long. You can use it as a tool for just short, but that's what the strategy is doing, right? So hopefully that makes some sense into how the actual strategy works, what the wording means, and then how you can use it. So the last little piece on how you can use it, I have a frequently asked questions up here in regards to it is not financial advice. The one thing that I wouldn't recommend doing, and I saw some comments when I first started this, was people would follow one trade, let's say, and they would say, oh man, I just followed the bot and I lost money. It had a losing trade, right? The difference with this, since every single trade is transparently shown, right? Every single trade it takes, right? It will lose trades. So I don't think it's helpful at all if you pick and choose, and let's say you follow one trade and you say, oh man, I'm going all in, the bot's making money, I'm going all in this trade because the bot signaled long on Bitcoin, right? It's about, like right now I have the stats published. I think it's about 60-40 in win rate, but it's still quite profitable. Since it is a strategy showing every single entry and exit, unlike most things on Twitter, showing just wins, right? You are going to see tons of losses. So that's the other thing that I think is very helpful. It shows that you don't have to win every single trade. I just want to be clear in saying that it's probably not too helpful to pick and choose each trade. I'm also not saying to follow every single trade. What I think is most useful is to use it as a kind of trend filter or a way to see when maybe quantitatively things are shifting either bullish or bearish for Bitcoin or for the alt that you're following. Right? I think that is a very, very helpful way to use this, and also maybe to spur an interest in your own automated strategy. Right? All right, so the last thing I want to talk about is how you can use automated strategy tools. So I just talked about how you can use the Coinist bot. Right? I think it's a great way to use it as a trend filter or as a way to kind of pique your interest or learn about automated strategies from a surface level. If you actually want to use them or create your own, there's a few solutions or a few different things you can do, right? There's some companies that I'll link down below that you can use. You can also try some on TradingView. There's some rudimentary or very basic strategies you can use there. You can also play around with different indicators and build your own system. Whether it's fully automated or not, that doesn't matter, but you can build a system or a rules-based system on TradingView, whether it's a moving average crossover you can test around, whether it's an RSI, whether it's a combination of any type of indicators you use, any parameter across any time frame. I think that is very, very, very helpful, right? I also want to caution you, if you are back testing a strategy in Excel or MATLAB or whatever you use, at first, just like with the moving average crossover, when you first look at a strategy, you might say, oh man, this strategy is killer. It makes money on every single trade. It makes money on this chart. It's going to make money going forward, right? That's not always true, right? You can probably find or pick a period in time where I can make any strategy look like it makes money. Live testing and forward testing in a ranging market and a trending market is a lot different, right? So be very, very careful. Just because it's an automated strategy and it doesn't make mistakes does not mean it won't lose money. It is I think they're great tools to use to either diversify your strategies or to use as kind of a resource or a trend filter. That being said, I would not dive in and throw all your money into one just because it looks good. All right, so that's a really quick intro into automated strategies, into the Coinist bot. If you guys have any more questions, fire them down below or reach out to the Coinist bot. I'll see if I can answer them. I'm excited to keep building this out. There is a way bigger platform and play in the works. Stay tuned for that. I'm going to keep updating the Twitter, and then also for more information, definitely check out the free Discord below. That's where I'm uploading this video. That's where tons more resources on the bot are available, and that's where I'll be posting more info going forward. Right. So thank you guys for your time. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you want to follow the Coinist bot, it's down below. Like I said, it's not financial advice, but it is a completely transparent, open test that I am running so you guys can gain interest into automated strategies, understand how one works, understand kind of transparent results, and then also maybe dive in and make your own. Right? That's what I got, guys. All the links will be down below. Thank you so much for watching. Throw a like, throw a comment, throw a subscribe. Let me know what you guys want to see next. I'll be publishing more of these. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.